Hi everyone, this is me Asia, and I'm just going to explain my surgery experience in Korea. Obviously these aren't my eyes, but these are examples of the eye surgery that I got. The procedure gives people with monolids double eyelids. Most people know the surgery as called the Asian double eyelid surgery. I'm just going to start off explaining why I got it in the first place. My mom and sisters all have the double eyelids naturally, but I had monolids like my dad. And ever since I was really young, my mom basically had told me that I would look so much more beautiful once I get my eyes done growing up, and that I had, a perfect face, I have a nice body, a great voice, just I need to get my eyes done. So basically growing up, that's all I ever wanted, just to have the same kind of eyes that the rest of my family had. And I don't really blame my mom for saying that, insisting that I get it done, because I really didn't like the way my eyes looked. The monolids made me look cranky and tired. You didn't see any of the light into my eyes because, like my monolids would like cover and shade it kind of. And my eyelashes would actually grow downwards instead of upwards. So I didn't look like I had any eyelashes, just made my eyes look extra small and dark and tired. And I would always be raising my eyebrows like this, trying to make my eyes look bigger, but then I would make this like weird eyebrow dimple, and I just looked goofy. So I really did want my eyes done. I just had a lot of pressure growing up, being the only one with the monolids out of my sisters. So I'm getting that double eyelid, so I'm gonna appear more open and be able to see more light in my eyes. I've wanted this since I was a child. My mom has basically planned this my entire life because I got my dad's eyes, not my mom's eyes. My mom has the double eyelid naturally, and I don't.
이거는 안 껴줘요. 이게 오돌이 안 껴주고 안 된 차지 그래서 빼르지가 벗어나오나
이거 왜 안 돼? 잠시만요.
Loves me whichever way, and I really care about his opinion of my body, so his support of what I do, my choices, really did matter to me, and the fact that he supported me whichever way I wanted to get it done really meant a lot to me. The reason I chose to get the surgery in Korea was because in America, the 4 doctors I visited gave me quotes, most of them saying around $2,500 to $4,000 just for the upper eyelid, not even the inner eyelid, outer or bottom. And even one of them gave me a quote for the upper eyelid and the inner corner for $5,000, and that's just those two parts on both sides. In Korea, I went with a doctor who has worked with more Oriental people than Americans, knowing what kind of eyes Korean people see as appealing, and really made me feel confident he knew how to work the particular eye shape I have rather than just cut and stitch to look like someone else. So my goal with the surgery was to have bigger, more open eyes, to appear less tired and not cover so much of my pupil like this, as opposed to seeing more of my pupil, giving me more sight without constantly having to raise my eyebrows. And some people with monolids still have like really big eyes, and they only need the surgery on the top part. But since I actually started off with really small eyes, I had the top part, the inner part, the outer part, and the lower part to get the image that I wanted. So in the bottom, they removed some of the fat, and actually it's starting to give me dark circles now. I've never had dark circles before. They cut out a little bit on the ends of each side, that way to make my eyes longer, that way they can open more. And then I had the upper part done, so then I can actually have a crease, a line. Before there wasn't any line, it would just open, and it almost looked kind of like this all the time. I think he charged a little over $7,000 for the top, bottom, left, and right part of both of my eyes. So it was worth having it done right in Korea as opposed to going to a doctor in America, paying $5,000 for only 2 parts, and him not having as much experience with Korean people's eyes. So I went to Korea with my mom, telling her that I had enough money finally to get my eye surgery done, and I wanted to get it done in Korea because, the price is right there and I wanted to get it done right. And she really took interest. She booked a flight for both of us to go to Korea, and we'd be staying with her friends and my uncle. And when we went to Korea, on the very first day we were there together, she seemed to really take interest in the eyes and noses of other Korean people walking by. And she would be like, oh, her eyes are really pretty, or oh, her nose, look at her nose, she got her nose done. And she most of the time she can tell when someone has had surgery done. She's very on point about it. And when she did, see a pedestrian or someone else who had their nose done or eyes done, or even like a poster board of someone, she would point out what she liked or what she didn't like. And then she started to mention to me that I should consider getting my nose done as well. I don't hate my nose, but I don't love it. I don't love it either. It was just cute. It was a little button nose, and I never even noticed it before until she mentioned it. But there was nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't perfect. So she mentioned it, and I was like, I've never even considered getting my nose done. I've always been so focused on my eyes. So I just said, nah. I just really want the bigger eyes right now. When we got to the surgeon's office, he told me everything I wanted to know about my eyes. My mom brought up the topic of the imperfections of my nose, which, again, I didn't really care about my nose. I didn't even notice my nose. So they had the paperwork in front of me. They said this is for the eyes and this is for the nose. You need to sign for the eyes right now because you're doing the surgery today. So I signed all the paperwork, and then he says, okay, and if you sign for the nose, then you'll do the surgery tomorrow, not today. And he's like, but I need to know now because I need to schedule, my time frame. So, I'll be working on your surgery tomorrow if so. So it was an impulse decision. The paper was right in front of me, and I agreed since I was already there. I was already going to be recovering. I might as well get it done during this trip than have to fly back and do it again. So I said, if now's the time and it's now or never, I might as well just do it. So I signed the paperwork, and then I went into surgery for my eyes. So I did the 5 hours for my eyes first, and then the nose for the next day. When we signed the paperwork, we paid for the surgeries, and I was prepped for surgery, and into the table I went. I had my wrists and ankles tied down to the table. The nurse told me in Korean that it was to prevent me from falling off the table. I think it was just their nice way of saying so a patient couldn't flinch or move or mess up the doctor's work if in pain. The local anesthetic around my eyes was the only method they used to mitigate the pain. And injecting it was extremely painful because it's a sensitive area, your eyes. I didn't feel any cutting or stitching, but I did feel extreme pain when he would clamp or pull at the fat in my inner corner and lower lids. And also whenever he would burn any piece of flesh off, he used this kind of little zzz, zzz thing, and it would burn the flesh out of the area, and I can smell the burning flesh, and it felt like little electricity spiking into my face, and it really hurt.
Oh, Abracadabra!
So after the surgery, they wrapped up my swollen eyes, and I was given a shot on my butt cheek to prevent infections. I think it's some sort of penicillin or something. They peeled off multiple layers of tape covering my flyaway hairs they would have right here, and they would just tape it back so then my hairs wouldn't come into my face during surgery. But after surgery they peeled it off, so I was losing all my flyaway hairs. And then when I met with my mom, I told her the eye surgery was so painful even though they injected, whatever shots or whatever into my eyes, I still felt a lot of the pain, and it hurt a lot for 5 hours. And even though I was letting him know it was hurting, he kept going rather than, trying to make it hurt less. And I don't really think that surgery should be painful. I mean, sure, pain is beauty, but I don't think it's actually supposed to be legitimately painful where I'm, flinching and like grabbing onto a squeeze ball because it hurts so much. So I told her that I no longer wanted to do the nose surgery because it's going to hurt a lot too. And I didn't even really want my nose to be done in the first place. And I was kind of just done with pain. So I told my mom I didn't want to do the nose surgery anymore. But apparently, since I already signed it and paid for it, just 5 hours before, when I did right before my surgery, they wouldn't be able to refund us most of the payment because it was already part of the deposit. And I don't want to waste all that money. Although I hated all the pain and I didn't want to be, unmedicated on a table again, I've been through worse, and, that I just feel bad for my mom, paying an additional, all that extra money for a second surgery, and then, wasting some of it because I didn't want to go through with it afterwards. So I just said, you know what, I've been through worse pains before. I'm just gonna do it because I don't want to be that person to waste that money and all that time. So my advice to other people, my advice to others is no impulse surgeries, I guess, and don't ever feel pressured into doing something that you didn't want to do. Take the time to really think about it for about a year. Do the research, figure out what you're going to get done, and really feel a lot of trust into your doctor before doing anything, because you don't ever want to regret it. So I've always wanted my eye surgery since I was a kid, and I only considered my nose literally the day I signed the paperwork, and that's something I shouldn't have done. I really should have thought about it before agreeing with my mom. Honestly, it's like, I don't care at this point. I'm already in so much pain. What can go wrong, right? Whatever. Yeah. So they didn't just do like the double eyelid, but they cut the inside of my eyelids, they cut the outside of my eyelids, they cut above my eyelids, and below my eyelids. So they did a whole shebang on both eyes. And that's why it took 2.5 hours each on each side.
오빠가 어디로 오시기로 했어? 오빠가
My eyes were swollen and taped up, so I could only see about 40% of my normal vision. I had an ice pack on my eyes on and off during the nights, and my jet lag was pretty bad, and I had to sleep sitting upwards like this rather than laying down to have the blood go down and not go into my face while I'm sleeping to prevent less swelling. So I didn't really sleep very well because sitting propped up wasn't very comfortable. I definitely regret not having them use more pain medication or sedatives or something on me, because it was a little slightly traumatic experience having I was going and letting him know that it was hurting, and him knowing that it was hurting, him just saying it's okay, or I know, as he's burning quicker instead of stopping or trying to make it hurt less. He was just going through it faster, and it just constant burning. So the next day I went in to get my nose done. And I wasn't looking forward to it because I really didn't want my nose done in the first place. And my eyes were in so much, they weren't in pain anymore, but when I was in surgery, it was hurting so badly that I knew my nose was going to hurt during surgery too. So when I got there, they gave me two options. The doctor said I can go completely under and be asleep for the surgery, or I could be semi-conscious and be like halfway there, not so much. And the reason being is for my eyes, during the surgery, I had to keep open them, close them, open them, close them, and I had to be there for it. But with my nose, I don't have to do anything. I just lay there. So I said I wanted to go completely under because screw that pain. I did not want to do that again. And my mom convinced me that I should do semi-conscious instead, because if I were to go completely under, it would heal slower, and she's just worried that it wouldn't go well. I should be awake to know what's going on. So she convinced me to change my mind yet again. Same process as last time, except this time I had an IV in my arm. I thought they were, putting me semi-unconscious or whatever. I would just make me not be able to feel as much pain. But I lay on the table, get tied down, and then suddenly he tells me he's about to start giving me shots and start cutting. And I stopped him. I said, wait a second, I thought I chose semi-conscious, not fully awake. So why is he about to start cutting into me if I'm still awake? And he talked to my mom. Apparently there was some sort of miscommunication. It was either I go fully under or I stay completely awake, just like the first surgery with my eyes. So I guess the miscommunication was there, and since I didn't choose the going completely under because my mom made me change my mind, I was, stuck with the other option of staying awake. So I told him to talk to my mom. He talked to my mom through the door, and she told him to just do it with me awake, because I was already on the table and it was too late to put me under, I guess, or whatever the case may be. So I was on the table, assuming I was going to be not even like fully conscious for the surgery, and instead I find out I'm going to have to be fully conscious again and go through all that pain from my nose, just like I did from my eyes. So I started crying and started having a panic attack on the operating table, and I calmed myself down and relaxed a little bit, and then I said, okay, you can start. So he started giving me the shots, the painful little shots here to try to numb my nose, and then he started cutting. It hurts, not as bad as the first surgery, but I definitely think it was a little bit more traumatic for me, considering I was definitely not prepared for it. I don't even know exactly what he did, or at the time I didn't really know what he did, just because I had so much information at one time, one moment, and I didn't do the research for years and years and years like I did for my eye surgery. I felt really lost and confused. Birdie? What is this?
No, we need a nice hat, not this one. 선글라스 끼면 돼 여기.
아니 이거 해.
Oh yeah, that'll hide it.
마스크 좀 돼.
Yeah.
마스크 쓰면 돼. 마스크 쓰면 돼.
Yep. Can't tell anything. I can barely see. Either one or both of my eyes closes. Band-aids are covering it. And I'm blurry. Like, my eyes are so blurry. I can't see anything. I see the shapes and colors a little bit. And my family's having me walk in traffic trying to catch a taxi. Got a taxi, so.
아이 그거 좀
집이 좀 좁다. 얘기 갖고 나왔는데.
See, I have very, very, very low visibility. Nothing really hurts. So during the surgery, I didn't know exactly what he was doing to me, but from what I gathered at the time was he was going to add a little bit to the front of my nose and narrow the sides. And he mentioned that there was like dents, like creases right here that were pushed into my face, so he wanted to flatten it. The creases by my nostrils, and he used these liquids to go all the way inside my nose and clean my nose and stuff, and he told me to swallow it. Oh my god, it burned so bad, it tasted so horrible, and even like after the surgery, it still made me want to vomit, and it would burn every time I tried to like take a sniff. It was like this black/brown mouthwash, and he made me, he told me to rinse my mouth every time I ate something with that same stuff.
오븐도 좋아하는 얘는 내 신랑이 그 땡그랗다는 거.
Ugh, disgusting. And trying to go some shopping. And maybe buy some souvenirs for a couple friends. So we're walking through the market, and it's pretty cool. It's a lot of different things. I'm souvenir shopping for a couple of the friends, and maybe get something for my husband. So maybe get him a fish. So I just had my face rewrapped today. Looks very similar to the wrap they gave me previously. They gave me some antibiotic shots, and I think I go back in tomorrow for more shots. I think like every day or every other day I'm gonna go in for shots or for another rewrapping. And apparently next couple times they rewrap it, they're gonna do a little bit smaller every time. And I might actually end up staying a little bit longer in Korea, so then they can make sure everything looks good and the stitches are perfectly healed before taking them out. And then it works out. So this is what it looks like. I've made plenty of jokes about how I look like a mummy or some other goofy characters, so. The reason I had to rinse out my mouth with that blackish brown mouthwash thing that, they use to clean the inside of my nose with is because I had some stitches in my mouth, and he didn't want, the stitches to get infected, so he wanted me to clean it with that stuff. So after the surgery, they gave me another shot in the butt, took all the tape off my flyaway hairs again, and then, according to a good friend of mine, I looked like an adorable little mummy after being wrapped up. And blind mummy, too, because I only had about maybe 5 to 10% of my vision left, as opposed to, the other day. Because he taped him like, almost like this, where I couldn't see, and it was covered by wrapping, and then sometimes my eyes would be even like completely closed from being taped so tightly, and my eyes were like letting out this gooey, sticky slime, and that gooey, sticky slime would like make my eyes like sticky when they tacky almost when they opened, and it would like blur out my vision, or like it would crust over and just completely dry out and turn into like these crusty eyelash goops, and I couldn't get it off without like tearing out my eyelashes. when I woke up in the morning. And they also taped up my upper lip really here. So I couldn't really close my mouth fully either, so it was like hard to eat or drink anything, and I didn't want to get anything on the bandages, so I was completely just face masked, and it was horrible. I want my mommy. They rewrapped my face and gave me a few extra shots. The doctor didn't really talk to me afterwards. He knew that I was kind of upset about the whole painful surgery thing. But just my mom saying that I need to come back. He would just talk to my mom, telling her that I need to come back every few days for more shots and more rewrappings. And my mom rescheduled my flight for an extra week and a half. So I was supposed to leave on the 1st, but apparently he wanted me to stay wrapped until the 2nd. So she made me leave on the 12th, on the same day that she was supposed to fly out. So I had an extra week and a half for extra recovery time. Eventually I started getting more and more taken off. Every time I would go in for a rewrapping, they took off some of the top stitches of my eyes, but left the bottom ones in, or they took out the bottom stitches and then the sides of my stitches on my nose, on the nostrils, and then the next time I got my inside stitches out of my nose or the stitches out of my mouth. So slowly, every time I went in, they would do something else. And my mom was very thrilled with the way my eyes looked. And although I can see more, now that my eyes are bigger, my astigmatism is a little bit worse. But I'm okay with my astigmatism being worse, because now at least I have better looking eyes. Okay, so this is I think day 7, but day 6 of the eye surgery, and day 7 since I've gotten here. They rewrapped my nose, and they took off the stitches on the top part of my eye, the top lid, but they haven't taken the stitches off the bottom lid yet. Let's see, so they'll take those out tomorrow, and they'll take out some of the stitches around my nose, but not all of them. And it's still really swollen, but they're telling me to open my eyes and try to like stretch them open and like do little exercises. So this is what it looks like. I'm gonna stare into the camera so then you guys get like a better look. But yeah, so my mom is thrilled. She really likes them. She says that they'll look a lot better in a couple of months when they're not as swollen, but I'll have to take her word for it. But right now I look kind of ridiculous. So they took out the stitches on the lower nostrils, like on the sides, and they took out the bottom stitches on my eyes finally. But they're still keeping my nose bandaged up, and I still have stitches inside my nose, and then the ones in my mouth.
가려면 빨리 가자. 얼른 에이샤.
Okay. Bye, friend.
여기 아가씨도 놀러 와요. 미기 엄마랑.
같이 간대 엄마랑.
아 그럼 좋지.
I just had everything taken off today, the wrapping and stitches, but I'm just using a face mask tonight just because I'm trying to keep it cool, less swelling.
하는지 친구들하고 갔는데.
And right now I think it's been almost 3 weeks since the surgery, and I have everything off. No bandages, no stitches, no nothing. The swelling is still pretty not bad, but it's still there, noticeable. I actually have no feeling on this side of my lip, and I have no feeling right here. So it's a little bit off. It's not like completely, symmetrical, but I have a little bit of that. And it makes it kind of weird to smile because I feel like, I should be getting that part back, but I don't. I also can't feel the sides of my nostrils right here. But other than that, I mean, it feels pretty normal. My mom says she really likes it, but I can't really see why. I like my eyes. They're alright. They're not like exactly what I was expecting, but I do like the fact that I can feel the eyelids when I open my eyes, and I don't have to raise my eyebrows all the time. These are some of my recovery photos. Some before and after photos. Picture of my wedding day and a picture of me recovering. Hey, and if you made it this far, thanks for watching the whole video, guys. I hope I answered all your questions, but if not, leave a comment below and I'll respond to it. Thanks!